Hey guys, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? If so, well, you might want to consider Anchor. So when Jesse and I first started doing this, we had a lot of questions. We had no idea what we were doing. How do we record an episode? How do we even get it out there to people? And truth be told, Anchor, which is the app we use to record this, made all of this incredibly simple. We are both what you could call technologically challenged, and we can use this with simplicity. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, just go to anchor.fm/start. You can make a profile, and honestly, you can start recording probably within 5 minutes. Hit an upload button, and it automatically adds it to all these platforms that you listen to us on. So again, that's anchor.fm/start, and you can get started right away.
Hello. What's up, guys? Another week, another podcast. This is going to be the last episode of the Fitness Experiment podcast before Christmas, I guess. Mm-hmm. So we're ringing in the new year. I think today we're going to dig into our personal businesses a little bit more, talk about some personal challenges and endeavors when it comes to the entrepreneur journey and different challenges that we've come across. And I think, like always, we're just going to start there and see where it takes us. I think it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's a lot of things that we're very new at.
Yes.
There's some things that we have experience in, so that we have kind of some sort of context around what we did well and what we did poorly in that situation. But I mean, we're just we're in the weeds just like everyone else. So we want to talk to you guys about what we do, our experiences, our challenges, what we find very uncomfortable, just kind of level with everyone a little bit.
Yeah, we might as well get into that right now. We were talking about this before the show about, I think Jesse feels the same way. We don't really like talking about ourselves. That's just not really something that I feel comfortable about and I don't really enjoy.
Yeah. And oddly enough, it's more about the successful things that I don't like talking about. Like it's practicing, so getting a little bit better, but it's easier to talk kind of in a jokingly way around what you do. And that's kind of the approach that I still take right now, is like I just kind of joke about my business and things because it keeps it light. Yeah. If the person's laughing, it feels a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like the example that comes to mind for me is I'll see someone, whatever, it could be a friend, it could be a family member. I'll see them like on a Saturday night or something, and they'll bring up, like, to give you an example, a few people have brought up recently that I've been working with Guelph Griffins men's hockey team, and they'll bring that up and they're like, like, that's cool, eh? Like, that's a big step forward. Good for you, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, yeah, it's awesome. Really excited. And then I'll turn back to them and be like, so how you doing?
Yeah, immediately.
Like, I realize it's not the best business strategy, but, that's just who I am.
Step one, you got to know it's a problem to fix the problem.
There's a marketer out there that wants to work for free. Hit me up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm slowly getting better. Like, I've had my business going now for a few years.
Around a while.
So at first, I just still have a challenging time getting the information out as to exactly what service I offer to people. And I know there's tons of solutions. I've had a lot of help from a lot of people way more experienced than me in running a business. They've been really patient and nice enough just to offer their assistance and help in pretty much any way that I want to. There's a lot of good mentors in that perspective in our little corner of the world. A lot of the people that Chett and I are in contact with on a day-to-day basis are high achieving individuals. Yeah. They're driven in many ways, whether that be in an entrepreneurial lifestyle or driven as like a parent or a coach or an athlete. Like, we're around people that have a good, solid sense of purpose, and it's just finding what that is for each person. I don't even know where I went on that tangent from, but yeah, basically it's so starting out, I was just really uncomfortable with the whole idea of marketing myself as my business. So I got away from that right away and just started marketing the service itself as a business because, I mean, it's fairly obvious, but it'd be kind of like Elon Musk doesn't have to make a promotional video for himself, whereas a Tesla needs a commercial, needs a marketing strategy, needs something like that because that's a product or the service that's being sold. I mean, I'm not building rockets and sending Teslas to Mars or anything like that, but it's just he's on a whole other level of entrepreneurship, and it's easy. It's so accessible. I guess it's not. Yeah, I guess it makes it easy too, but it's so accessible to watch from a distance the strategies that these master marketers and just straight up G's in their realm, how they promote themselves, and how it's always going to be like a sound product and a sound service on the back end that will allow your business to be successful long term. It's the biggest takeaway I have from people I'm talking with.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah.
And I think if you treat it that way, like the service kind of speaks for itself a little bit.
I mean, a little bit, but then
it's tricky though, because it's like we're talking products versus like a service that is basically solely based on my or your body of knowledge and like ability to communicate and share that knowledge and help the individual benefit from it. So that's what makes it tricky, because I mean, you do have to like your business is you in a sense.
Right. And there's a time commitment there from the consumer to learn about you and for you to communicate to them efficiently, one, because you don't want to waste their time, but also effectively communicate to them exactly what you can do for them without, I mean, this is a fear that without coming across as being like a douche, basically.
Yeah.
Right. And the fitness industry is pretty chock full of that end of the spectrum. So you can also look at those and be like, that's not what I want to be. That's not how I want to portray what I'm doing. So that's
like if you
too.
walk into like a chain gym, like a Good Life, a 24-hour fitness, or if you walk into like a supplement store, or there's a lot of those, we'll call them douches, whether or not that's actually their personality, or if they're just doing that because that's what they've been trained to do and that's what the service makes them do. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it comes across sometimes. So yeah,
for sure.
I agree.
Social media marketing is a tough one for me right now. Again, I've had a lot of people help me out a ton with this stuff, and I know they're going to listen to this podcast and be like, man, you know what to do already. But I don't think it's not that simple for me, because I want to be sure that once I really start pushing a social media marketing plan, I'm 100% confident in that plan itself.
Yeah.
And I know what the rebuttal is going to be. Just start, and you got to start and do it. And I mean, they're right. Totally. You see a lot of different things on social media and through like email drip marketing and things like that, that I'm kind of just trying to take in like a sponge right now, and then learn to apply that in the way that I want to portray my business.
I think that's fair, because a lot of those you do sort of need a strategy for them to succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to say that, so like just the example of like the drip email. So this is something I've been reading about a little bit lately. So just for the listeners, maybe you've never heard of this, but my understanding of drip emails is it's basically when you subscribe to a particular service. It could be anything. It could be like for a particular, I don't know, a book or an educational course or nutrition coaching or whatever the hell, anything like that. You subscribe to that service somehow. You probably don't even remember how or why, but then you get these emails from them. Could be once a week, could be every day, that basically offers you a particular product, a course, some type of service, and they kind of just drip emails to you on a consistent basis, enticing you to buy that, I guess is the way I understand it.
Yeah.
That's a piss poor explanation, but.
And then I think the theory around that is they kind of touch on you a few times. I know there's a number 5 for something. If you read, I got sent an article to read.
Like how many times?
You have to make a certain number of touches and a certain amount of impact on that person before they're going to trust you enough to click that link to take. So
they might say purchasing. Like, go read my blog that I wrote about this product I'm offering you, or go listen to my podcast where we discuss the potential of the service I'm about to offer you. And then they might have like, keep in mind, like this product is only going to be at this price until the next 30 days. And then it's set to double in cost.
Right.
It's all these different enticing offers.
Yeah. And it's likely that a lot of people aren't going to open that email. And then once they make the decision to start opening your emails for whatever reason, because you made an impact on them either in person or through social media or some other strategy, or they're just kind of like, I'm curious about this Chett guy. What's he have to say? Kind of bored this morning. Let's see what he's
procrastinating.
So they open it, and the likelihood of them clicking the link to read your blog is pretty low. So there's a lot of different touches, and that's kind of the strategy with those subscription-based email marketing things, and they work amazingly well.
Oh yeah,
I'm working on that, like a back end side of that, building it all out so that we can hopefully get that launched. I have a date in mind to start launching that. Again, just people helping me out.
Yeah,
building up an email list. That's gotten to the point where
it's a pain in the ass, but I mean it works.
So, it's not overly glamorous, but I mean, here's the thing. You and I have things that we are really passionate about that we know can make an impact on somebody's life in a positive way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like we're selling cigarettes, but you're conscious. You can go to bed at night.
Not going to do that anymore.
Knowing that the exchange that you're making, whether it be money or service or whatever, you can go to bed at night and feel good about that. So there's no weight on your conscience at that level, but by any means. But I mean, we're learning, right? So I get a lot of it, a lot of advice from, again, a lot of amazing, wicked, awesome people that don't have to take the time to tell me these things. And I'm listening and slowly but surely coming up with my own strategy. I mean, it's not original. Like I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything like that. But when you launch something like that, like you're launching your keto seminar stuff soon, which we'll talk about after this, once we're done being all vulnerable and shit. Like they've taken a lot of time to show me these things, and they're a lot more experienced. They've done a lot more things. And I don't think they forget their beginnings, and they're really trying to like push me to like save me extra time and just nonsense stuff. And it's like super appreciated.
Yeah.
But it takes some time to build that out and get it ready.
That's what I always think too. Like just going through a lot of these struggles on my own, whether it could be any one of these little things that we're talking about, whether it be like building an email list or something like that. I always think like, okay, if I ever get this figured out and like become semi-successful by using one of these strategies, I'm pretty certain that in the future, I'm definitely going to help someone or a group of people with a similar issue in the future.
Exactly.
Like just because I know like how frustrating it can be, how big of a pain in the ass it is. And I realize that like it's true what they say, like it is part of the experience, and you'd never really appreciate that until after. But I guess that's just kind of the cycle that it goes in, right? Like we would never learn if it weren't for other people that had similar struggles.
Yeah.
You realize all these things afterwards, like all those cliche sayings and nonsense are actually turn out to be true.
Exactly. Yeah. All those cliche things for sure. Like your first one's going to suck. And like, to me, I'm like, I don't want it to suck, but it's going to. Like, I think if I don't look back on this email marketing thing that I'm creating right now, if I don't look back on it in like 5 years and think, what was I doing? Then I did it wrong, right? I waited too long.
Yeah.
So, basically what I'm trying to say is thank you to those people that take the time to deal with me and being patient in this process. I know, they don't have to do it, but they're doing it because they care, and they're passionate about their own business, and they can see the passion in myself, and they're trying to just gotta get all that mumble jumble that I just spewed into this microphone and just focus and point that in one direction. I'm getting there, getting a little better every day, a little bit.
And
not
it's
a lot.
really like two completely different areas of expertise, like technology, social media marketing versus where fitness and health. Some people do have a lot of overlap. My overlap, like what overlap? It's non-existent.
Totally,
like, I have
man.
Social marketing, media marketing. I can't even pronounce those words.
Ask you about neuroscience.
I don't have anything.
You're spewing out words that like nobody's understanding, right?
So yeah, I know what I need help with. I know what I'm good at. I know what I suck at. And so I think that's what it comes down to. Yeah.
It's definitely not a burden by any means. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about what I have to do, because that's not what I'm doing.
We're just talking about challenges.
Yeah. This is
being vulnerable.
These are the struggles. If you want Chett and I to talk about fitness and health like we have for the last 13 podcasts, we could do that. No problem. And our 1 hour podcast is going to turn into a 2 hour podcast every single time. But you get us to talk about stuff like I'm not afraid. I guess people can take from this, if we have to do that, I don't know, is that you can't really be afraid to be a beginner in any way, and let your lack of knowledge in a certain area hold you back from building what you're trying to build and getting what you're so passionate about out to everyone else. Because if you're not going to do the extra work to learn a whole new skill and be a beginner and be coachable, this applies to everything, but definitely in a business sense as well. Just observe things and listen to what other people are saying. You don't have to respond in that moment. You don't have to agree or disagree with them. But whatever somebody's telling you is coming from a good place. They're not like, oh yeah, go and try this. And then they're off just sitting, waiting for me to make the dumb post on Instagram. Like, oh, that was so stupid. I can't believe you listened to me. Right. Like, that's not what they're doing. So being a beginner is fun.
Yeah.
It's super uncomfortable and weird. Like, I'm sweating right now talking about.
I sweat every podcast, so this one's no different.
Yeah.
I'm always sweaty. Hands are sweaty, feet are sweaty.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even know what we got on that tangent either about email lists and drip dropping. Do you use MailChimp for all that stuff?
No, it's ConvertKit.
I haven't heard of that one. That's the other thing. There is so many bloody apps out there these days.
Yeah, which is awesome because
good and bad.
Yeah. I don't even know the difference between like a MailChimp to a ConvertKit in terms of cost for the user.
ConvertKit.
That's the one that Dr. Cratio directed me to probably 2 years ago.
Oh, so it's been around a while.
Yeah. And I mean, to talk about how slow I am at building this stuff out, it's been 2 years.
Hey, but to show what I know about all these technologies, this has been around for 2 years and I don't know dick about it.
There's a lot of them. And all of them have like their specific like user levels, I guess you could say. Yeah. Like some are a lot easier for someone who isn't as tech savvy in terms of like knowing all the back end stuff. It's pretty like plug and play. ConvertKit's pretty plug and play.
Okay.
It's pretty easy to use that. I've never I know the gym uses MailChimp, but Emily and Brent usually do all the email campaigns through the gym. So I'm not really sure how easy that one is to work, but ConvertKit, I mean, it's one of those things that you can just open up the page and it's like, it just makes sense. That's good. Everything flows.
I would say MailChimp's pretty similar to that as well. Yeah. Like it's not complicated. Just you have to put the work into it.
Yeah.
Like anything.
For sure. Yeah. The beginner thing is kind of a cool topic, I guess. We just, I think it's good. It's a good thing that you can get uncomfortable with doing things. So being a beginner in anything is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're unsure. So it's like, where do I go? Right. So for example, I just started martial arts again at Adrenaline. I've been doing that for a month or so now. So I just started that back up. I did, obviously, you guys, if you listen to this podcast and know me at all, you know that
one of the first ones, go back
kind of
and
my
listen.
Whole life, adolescent
See,
life.
we've talked about ourselves before.
A little bit. So kind of got the itch to get back into that. And started at 2 different gyms doing that through the week and on the weekends, just adding in sessions. And being there, being a student. So now, like, usually the majority of my time is spent coaching other people. It's not being coached by somebody else.
It's the complete opposite.
But having the experience of being on the other end of that really helps you to appreciate a coach a little bit more, I find. So doing things like just being quiet and listening to what the coach is telling you to say or telling you to do, instead of interjecting and saying, oh, well, I'm trying to do that. Oh, well, I'm trying. It's like, that's not what the coach is noticing. Yeah. They can't notice an intention. All they can do is see what you're doing and correct that piece. So if you listen to that and then take what they said and put that with your intention, then you're going to get a better result.
Yeah, it's nice because you know and understand the coach's perspective, what makes kind of quote unquote the ideal student. So you can just reverse the roles and be that ideal student.
Yeah,
nice.
Totally. And I mean, just applying that to the business side of things right now too, like taking information from all these people and trying to apply it the best way that I possibly can.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got? You got your keto seminar coming up. When is that? January?
That is January 5th at West London CrossFit. I have a couple other dates booked. I don't know them off the top of my head. But
we can post it in the notes or something.
Yeah, I'll do that. There's one in big town of Seaforth.
Oh, yeah.
If we have any Seaforth listeners, any of you 100 people that live there. One hopefully in Mitchell as well, back to the stomping grounds. And then same thing, I'm hoping on about 2 others in Stratford. Still don't have a date settled with those other gyms, but they're both interested, so that's good news. So Sweet. Once I have those, I'll definitely post those somewhere so that people who are interested can check that out.
Yeah, find the one closest to you.
Yeah. But the plan is just to kind of smash them all out in January, all close together. I don't want to let that drag on too long because that's going to kind of lead into like an online course that I've been designing. Yeah. So like the goal of this is, it's by no means to encourage people to try it or tell people like, hey, you should do this. This is the best diet for everyone. In fact, it's the complete opposite of that. Like my motivation for making it is actually because of how frequent that is out there when it comes to nutrition. Like people saying, hey, I don't know anything about you, but this diet's the best for you. Mm-hmm. That's like my biggest pet peeve. So this is one of the reasons why I've developed this. Because keto, I know, was like top 3 Google search, I think like 2017. So
it's so hot right now.
Yeah, and that was 2017. So I'm guessing 2018 was probably even bigger. 2019 probably even bigger. And guess what's coming up? New Year's resolutions. So a ton of people are going to be looking into this.
Yeah.
And so that's why I've done it, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, like specifically on keto, I would say like more than any other quote unquote diet. And I think just because of the nature of it, like the idea of like restricting carbohydrates, eating extra fats, all of this, there's, in my opinion, a lot of potential downsides. It's very easy to mess up. So all these little things I really want to target, and just essentially like provide people with the information so that they can then make an informed decision of whether or not they want to do it, and ultimately give them the tools and knowledge to, if they want, succeed on it.
Right. Yeah. I think that's super important, is to leave the individual with the freedom of their own choice.
Yes.
You're not telling them to do or not to do anything. You're just providing them with information. And then if they make the choice themselves, I'm sure that the likelihood of them sticking to that is going to be a lot higher.
Yeah. So if you're going to do it, I just want you to do it properly.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. Just give people all the tools.
Yep.
What are some topics in that?
Yeah. So I can kind of give the quick 3,000 foot summary. So I definitely want to actually inform people what the hell ketogenic diets are, what is ketosis, why that is even a thing, because that's kind of overlooked a lot. Mm-hmm. So ketosis is a survival mechanism. That's going to be kind of the primary focus. That's why this is, in our bodies in place in the first place, is that this has evolved over time. Talk a lot about different kind of scenarios and conditions, and go over one, if keto could be beneficial for that specific scenario or condition, and then two, talk about a few details on how to apply keto to that specific scenario or condition. So like, to give you an example, like a glycolytic sport, something like hockey, rugby, CrossFit versus like triathlon or marathon, totally different thing. Like the glycolytic athlete, keto, not good. Like, stay away. You can take some certain aspects from it and still apply it to that sport and benefit from it. But I mean, it's not going to be ketogenic. Aerobic, on the other hand, could be very beneficial for that. All these other situations, like people trying to conceive, even pregnant breastfeeding mothers, post-concussion, people with type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, have a lot of extra weight to lose but can't do that. They've just had struggles and challenges with every single thing that they've tried. So those are kind of a summary of a lot of the different scenarios I want to touch on. And again, like, a lot of those have some different considerations to think about. So that's what I'm going to touch on. And then there's these other, what I would call like hot topics when it comes to keto, that are either kind of misinterpreted or just completely overlooked. So a big one is electrolytes. So long story short, you lose a shit ton of electrolytes when you go keto, just because ketones are negatively charged, so they'll pull out positively charged sodium ions with them. So that's why you lose a ton of weight. You lose a ton of sodium. You're also losing additional electrolytes. So you have to replace all of those, consume a ridiculous amount that you're not going to get from food. You have to supplement from it. So that's one of the ways to like avoid a ton of the potential side effects of keto. So again, like, what are some reasons why people might fail on it? Well, it could be headaches, dizziness, fatigue, no energy, can't sleep, all these things. And all of those could be due to one thing, which could be inadequate electrolytes. So that's another thing. And then I want to talk about the exogenous ketones thing.
Is that the one where people just take them like a protein shake? Basically,
yeah. So,
man, so many people have tried to sell me on that. It's like my Facebook, 100% of the time, if I get a message from someone that I haven't heard from in about 5 years, they're either trying to sell me essential oils.
Yeah.
What's that? There's a hair thing. I won't say the name just in case people get all sensitive about it. There's a hair thing. People popping up being like, hey, want to sell this? There's the Airbond thing.
That's a big one.
And then there's what do you call them? I don't even know.
The exogenous ketone.
Yeah, that thing.
Probably prove
Top
it.
4.
That's a big one.
Drive me crazy, man.
So this is the thing. Like, this is why I'm doing this, because there's people pushing, trying to sell these things, and they don't know a damn thing about it. They probably say, hey, check this out. It burns fat.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't burn fat. And then there's a whole host of other things you need to consider.
Yeah, man, there's an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine about some pyramid scheme thing. It has a guy from Harold and Kumar in it too. Wow. It is so funny because it's so true. It's just like basically give somebody like a crazy propaganda pump up speech and then send them out there to sell your product for them.
Yeah.
I mean, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah.
But if you're getting your nutrition information from something like that, then you need to go to Chett's seminar and learn.
Stop and think about it.
We need to learn exactly what this way of eating is and how to go about it.
Yeah.
But I love that you're doing the scenario thing too, man, because then there's an application piece. You can kind of, the listener or the person attending your seminar can place themselves in a specific scenario. Yeah. Then it makes it more real.
I just know that I know the types of Google searches that people use.
Did you check that out?
Yeah. Well, I didn't actually look at like the analytics of it or anything, but I know enough, and from talking to other people and know what's hot in like the field of nutrition and whatnot, I know that people are going into Google and being like, can keto be good for pregnancy? Can keto be good to cure my concussion? Right, all these different things.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I want to target.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a summary.
Yeah.
Little summary.
That's gonna be awesome.
There's lots more though.
I'm looking forward to it.
To be honest, I'm still having a hard time trying to choose what to include and what not to include, because I can't talk all day long, unfortunately, at the seminar.
Yeah.
So what's going to provide the most value in a short amount of time?
Right. And I mean, for you as like your business owner, you're going to gain the trust of everyone in that room. And then there's potential for continued
certainly from a
service after that.
Yeah.
Which is
be lying if I said I haven't thought of that from a business perspective. I'd be stupid not to.
Yeah. And that's not a bad thing either. That's like you're getting a group of people into a room that obviously have some sort of interest in this way of eating.
Yeah.
They have some sort of knowledge of who you are, or if not, they have at least seen your stuff somewhere on one of the many outlets that you have your stuff on. And they're like, this guy's worth going to listen to. So already have that. Like that's prime real estate from like a marketing perspective. Just using like my experience with that, people at the gym who sign up for programming with me, I don't know how to do a thing. Right. Because it's a relationship that's already been established and that trust has already been built. And then I'm just their guy when they're ready for their program. I'm just their guy because I've been there helping them through the process the entire time. And that is marketing. Like that's true. You're marketing your skills all the time. Every single Instagram story that you make, right? And you're providing all this information and all this content with no expectation of getting anything in return.
Yeah.
But when you use that effectively, then people start to trust you. And then when somebody either at the gym or anyone who's come in contact with your page, when they're like, oh, I really need some help with this nutrition thing. There's so much information out there. I'm overwhelmed. I don't feel like anyone's actually listening to what I'm saying. Like when I go to the doctor, they say, try this, try that, but there's no instruction. I went to this weekend course thing and learned all this stuff, but it's like the application part that's difficult. Right, and that's like with your knowledge of all this sciencey stuff, you can actually apply it to all these different scenarios. And then that's where people get benefit from. Like from a programming perspective, for me, people can get information about programming anywhere they want to for their sport, for their current situation, right? Pregnant,
true,
post-operation.
Start reading some shit down here.
They got a whack knee, bum knee for whatever reason. In the program that they're doing, like if they go on the internet and look up a generic fitness program, that's not programming.
No.
Okay. I want to make that very clear. That is not you are not doing a program. You are loosely completing a template that you don't know the intention around. The most popular example of this in a CrossFit gym is actually not a popular situation, but one that I've had before, and it's so far removed that this person probably won't even remember. So let's talk about it. Just starting a few years ago at Westland and CrossFit, somebody comes up to me who I see rarely, And at this point in time, I was living at West London CrossFit. Like I was doing morning and evening classes. I was just kind of taking everything because I was beginning to coach CrossFit. And that's how I do things. When I want to do something, I'm just going to go and spend as much time as possible doing that. Take everything in, suck a lot of times, and then eventually suck less because you just make your adjustments.
Yeah.
And you do the same thing too with your coaching, because I've even talked to you in like a afternoon class after you coach the 5 a.m. class, and you're like, oh, I didn't even think to mention that. Right. But like every single class gets a little bit better. And like if I coach a 4, 5, 6, 7:30, the smoothest class is always the 7:30 class, because I've already worked out all the kinks and bumps, and I've answered all the questions that possibly come up. So then at the beginning of class, I just spitball all the possible scenarios, and everyone's like, cool, got it.
Yeah,
and
that's pretty funny how that works, actually.
Yeah.
Or like those days where I've only done this a couple of times. You've done it lots and lots and lots of times over the years. Other coaches at Westland CrossFit do this all the time, but where you're coaching like a stupid amount of classes throughout the day, like 6 to 10 or something.
Yeah.
It's funny. You go through like early in the morning, like you said, you're spitballing. Midday, late afternoon, you're like, okay, I've learned from that. I think I can be better on this particular coaching focus for this class. And then like the last one or two, you're like, I don't even know why I just said that.
Yeah. But that's a coach, right?
Yeah.
Because you are constantly evolving and changing your approach as you go to make it more applicable to the people that you're speaking with.
Yeah.
Right. And like make it make sense for them, because that's your job. That's the difference. I think that's one of the main differences between a coach and a trainer. Right. If we were to use those two words, like a coach is somebody who is critical of themselves and always constantly focusing on improving the service that they're providing and the communication with whoever they're coaching. I think a trainer shows up for their hour, does what's on the board, and then pieces out.
Yeah.
I think that's the main difference. And I think the coach is going to last in the industry, and the trainer will fall off for many reasons. They're not making as much money as they want to. They're not feeling as fulfilled as they feel like they need to be. They don't feel as compensated as they feel like they need to be for whatever reason. And then they just generally lose interest and move on to something that's easier.
That's fair.
It makes sense. It happens all the time. And I mean, that's not good or bad. That's just kind of what happens. It's just it's the life cycle of a coach versus the life cycle of a trainer, in my opinion. The programming thing, spinning around, looping her back to that. This person was talking to me, somebody that I rarely see at the gym, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not really getting that much stronger in my back squat. I'm going to start small off." And if anyone's heard of small off before, it's basically a complete beat down squat progression.
Yeah. Say that again. What is it? Small off. Sounds Russian or German, so I can imagine the volume.
Oh God, it's a lot of volume. It's a lot of squatting, and it's a lot of intensity too. It's a tough one. It's something, and I don't want to get on a tangent with that quite yet. I'll get to that. But like this person, I'm like, why don't you just come and train 4 days a week? Let's just start there. Right? Like, why are you jumping from someone that I see 4 times every 2 weeks? Like, I won't see you for 2 weeks, then I see you 4 days in a row, then I don't see you, then I see you a day here. Like, your consistency is what's letting you down. It's not the program. That person, I could give them any program, and if they were consistent over 4 weeks with that program, they get better. That's why on-ramp, every single month, people that do our on-ramp program, which is our beginners course for CrossFit, we do a full month, 3 times a week beginners program, because we feel that that's the best service that we could provide for this group of people that are brand new to CrossFit. They've never done it before. How do we introduce somebody from day 1 to day 12 and have them feel comfortable? People always improve their assess. So we do a day 1 assessment sort of thing.
Yeah, the gains they make are stupid.
Every single time. And the 100% of the reason for that is they were consistently training 3 days a week for 4 weeks. 120%.
Yeah. The
reason why they got better. That's it. Because with consistency comes all of the other things, the improved mechanics, the awareness, the confidence to know that you can push yourself and be successful in doing that. Those are the 3 things for on-ramp. Like, always get more fit, get stronger, whatever. Let's leave that to the side. consistency, you get that awareness, and you get confident. You're more comfortable.
Yep.
You got your homies in your on-ramp group
Yeah.
training with you.
It's the accountability thing too. Like, well, I guess that's the same thing as consistency, really, in a way. But
yeah,
it's just interesting
that's
to
the
see
part
that
we provide, I guess.
Yeah,
Right?
it's interesting to see that when it's very likely that a lot of those people, they've probably dawdled away at different fitness programs over the years, right? Saw zero progress whatsoever, and then immediately, right when they start being consistent, boom, it's like these crazy gains.
Yeah,
That's why it's always interesting when, I mean, I get it, but when people always kind of complain, like, you know, like I can't afford that, like I can't afford that fitness program, that coaching, whatever it may be. I can just get this for free, you know, I'll download that program off the internet or whatever. But like, it doesn't work, like, because you don't have that accountability, you don't have that communication, that feedback, so on and so on. And if you can make that work, like, kudos to you. Fuck, like that takes a special person, in my opinion, to be able to succeed on something so like generic and loose like that, like something like downloading a program off the internet. Because you have to be able to stick to that and follow that and progress on that. That takes so much self like accountability. It's like I said, like kudos to you, but the majority of the people, like that money that you're spending is worth it.
Yeah, I mean, really, somebody who, if they look at you and they're like, oh, that's too much, then they just don't value that service that much. Right? And you just gotta, it was hard for me at first. I took that really personally, especially when I was working at Good Life, because they get you on doing the cold calls and all that stuff, doing the cold calls and doing the oh, hey, here's, you get a free hour with a personal trainer when you sign up for your membership. And then the person shows up for their free hour with you, unknowing that they're going to get bombarded with this sales pitch at the end. And it's like a very uncomfortable situation to be in.
Yeah.
But I mean, it gives you some practice, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it can be, I don't know.
Well, I thought of a couple things like several minutes ago I wanted to bring up, and it actually kind of links into what you were talking about there. The one thing I think a lot about when I do, you know, whether it's this keto seminar that we talked about, whether it's my nutrition coaching, one thing that I always keep in mind, I don't keep it in mind, it just always comes back to me over and over again, is when you look at little kids, you tell them, you know, what to do. Like you tell them, you know, like make sure you tidy up after yourself. Make sure you know, eat this, don't have too much dessert, blah, 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 whatever it is. What does the kid always say? Why? They won't do it unless they know the reason why, and unless you give them an explanation of why. And then all of a sudden, like as we become adults and look for these similar services and programs, it's like, that's not there.
Right. Yeah, totally.
People don't have the answers, and then we expect people to stay committed and find success in especially these things like fitness and health and nutrition. And so sorry, the reason why I said it kind of connects into that, in my opinion, is because something like on-ramp, like those people have so many questions, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't have that satisfied and addressed in just your generic average program. And I think that applies to, I don't think this is just health and nutrition, but again, this is our field, so this is what we can relate to. But I think just being able to be curious, get those answers, satisfy those questions, like, is a powerful thing. And so that's one thing where, if we talk about challenges and successes, I think that's one thing where I've found a little bit of success with my business, is kind of just simplifying things. Like, okay, like, why am I doing this? Inform the individual and then move on. I think that's, to me, I think people appreciate that, and I've found some success in doing that.
Yeah, totally. And with you knowing that, you've created like an ideal client for yourself. Yeah, as well, right? In a specific market that you're looking to work with. That's a good
point. Yeah,
like you don't want to work with.
Curious.
Yeah, you don't want to work with people that don't want to know why.
Yeah.
Because you guys are never gonna flow.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're just gonna be like, yeah, whatever, just give me this thing, and the compliance is probably gonna be low because in most cases, if somebody doesn't want to understand why they're doing something, they don't actually want to be doing it anyways.
Yeah. And you don't want to,
or they're not doing it and they're not asking questions because they're like, I'm not even listening to you.
Yeah.
You're just like spewing crud.
Talk to a teacher. Like, I'm pretty sure if I were to ask Keelan, like, what's your favorite or ideal student to teach if you had to choose? I'm pretty sure she's going to say it's the one that's curious and wants to learn and ask questions. It's not the kid who just buggers off and doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. So the service, like the coaching that you're providing from a nutrition standpoint, is built for somebody who actually wants to get better. So then the price tag that's associated with your expertise to provide that information to them is basically just a formality at that point. It's like, yeah, that seems like a fair exchange.
Right.
You're providing me with all this information and all this support and help throughout this entire process and journey that I'm going on. Mm-hmm. It's worth, you got to see the difference in worth there, right? Between just going on to the internet and pulling up a generic keto outline, for example, and loosely following that, rather compared to going to see you. And you're not going to start at keto. You're going to start at that individual and finding out what they do, who they are, what they do. Like, that's invaluable. And that's the difference between getting a coach and just, well, not getting a coach. You're trying to do it on your own or with a generic templated program for nutrition, or fitness,
or to squat every day or whatever,
or business too, right? Like applying that same approach to the business.
That's a good point, because it's easy for us to say this because we're a little bit biased, but then if we look at like a business program where it's like, okay, download this generic business template, like, I don't know what a good example is. Maybe it's like,
there's so many out there,
the 10 steps to master MailChimp,
right?
Like something like that versus actually having a coach like you talked about earlier. Again, I think you can make that comparison. And I know, like, believe me, I've definitely been guilty before. Like, obviously I've done that in the past with something like business, like I go on the internet and just get something free and generic, when in the end, 90% of the time I find out, okay, if I would have just paid a little bit more for this in the first place, I would have had more success earlier and probably in the end save some time and money.
Yeah. Isn't that so funny? Like, we're sitting here talking about like fitness and health, and we have like this ideal thing that we think people should do. And then when we zoom out and look at our own businesses, we're like, oh shit, I'm not doing any of those things, or a few of them, or just a couple of, but it also helps us to understand what that client is going through with us as well when they start working with us on their nutrition or fitness, because it's not like we're robots. Like, we're experiencing the same thing in a different way. We're both entrepreneurs that are navigating this industry and trying to find our exact niche, but that's not like you snap your fingers and it just becomes something. It's going to, like, we get baited by the free templates. We get distracted by what this person's doing on Instagram to promote their business. We feel that we don't have the confidence to launch like an Instagram. For me, like right now, that's what I'm struggling with. I've been focusing so much on in the last 2 years
Such a pain in the ass.
On the back end stuff. I'm like, I'm so obsessed with how it works on my end and perfecting that I've completely neglected letting everyone know actually what I do outside of the gym.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
fully appreciate that. Yeah.
that's the next step for me is like, cool, man, you have all these systems in place. You're 100% confident in your abilities to provide the service that it is that you provide, which is fitness programming for athletes, and everyone's an athlete in their own right.
Yeah.
And getting them to the next level of whatever it is to them, whatever that is. But if nobody knows what I do outside of my little corner, then that's where I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay in my little corner forever, and it's never going to be able to get bigger than that. So am I happy with what I'm doing in my corner? Absolutely. But I feel like I'm doing everyone a disservice outside of that circle by not telling them what I'm doing. So that's the next step for me, is to get the word out. And I mean, for both of us, when we started this podcast, that was kind of the idea too.
Yeah.
Now we have to figure out a way to get this podcast out to more people, right? So the cycle just kind of
vicious cycle
starts over again. So
let's stop.
Never, hopefully.
Yeah.
The day that this stops is like, I'm so scared, because then that means I have to go do something else. And I don't want to.
You're telling me.
I would be so miserable, dude. Oh my God. And I mean, oh yeah. You just hear, we're in a place where it's usually the person's, whether or not they say it or not, it's a good time of day for them. That hour that they're at the gym, they're bumping, right? They want to party. They want to lift the weights. They want to have some fun. They might walk into the gym like, I don't want to be here, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're here, so you did want to be here. You're fine.
Yeah.
Let's just get on with this now, right? But that complaining thing, it's like, freaks me out, dude. I don't know what to do. When people complain, it happens all the time. People complain to me, I like just ball up. I'm like, blah, potato. I don't know what to say to you, because that's not how I live my life. I don't want to live.
Have we talked about this on here before? I think we have. We've definitely talked about how, like, you haven't seen someone in a little while. You say, hey, how are you? I'm tired.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. That's the worst, dude.
It's just,
I'm like,
we don't need to get into that, but I just don't like it. Or they just start talking about their life problems.
Straight up disrespectful.
Like, you're right.
I'm going to be honest.
Sorry I asked. I know life's against you, man. Like, everything in this world's out to get you.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
But that's
crazy talk.
A separate issue.
What
are we talking about there? Oh, I know what I was going to say. Yeah. Coaching at the gym. Definitely the first job I've had that I actually enjoy, like, sincerely. Apart from, like, my business, that's completely separate, because that's what I'm most passionate about and enjoy the most. But as far as, like, a job where someone else is paying me, I'm hired to do this work by, bosses doing their work, whatever. That's the first job that I've actually enjoyed. I used to think, like, I always had summer jobs, go away for school, come back, have a summer job. I had a lot of different ones over the years, and I had some where there was a lot of construction work, which, like, maybe to most people isn't the most enjoyable thing, but I would find a construction job that I thought, like, okay, I think, like, this is the one, like, I think I'll like this a little bit more, even for the summer. But every single time I would always find myself thinking, like, within the first month or so, like, God, I do not like this.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't complain.
For Friday night.
Yeah. I didn't complain out loud about it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, like, let on that my life was miserable. I mean, it wasn't that way. It was just kind of in the back of my mind. Like, I have this feeling like, I don't think I want to work, like, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, work for someone else, do what they tell me type of thing for the rest of my life.
Right.
And I had a hard time dealing with that, to be honest, because, like, dealing with that and accepting that is okay to think that way. That's what led me to the entrepreneurial side of things in the first place. But it definitely took some transitioning and, like, some convincing to do, to tell myself, like, okay, like, that's actually okay. People make a living by designing their own work, their own dream, and, like, ultimately make a career out of it and enjoy themselves more.
Yeah.
So
and
and
there's nothing wrong with either side of that, right? Like, everyone has
absolutely.
Their own personality fits better in different situations, but I'm the same as you. I wouldn't be happy there. A lot of people are very happy doing what they do, and they provide a great service to whoever they're doing it, and they're passionate about it. And those people, right? They're those, like, you walk into Starbucks and there's somebody taking your order and they're just jazzed.
Yes.
Right. It's like that person loves their job and they're doing a great job. But on the flip side, if you walk into Starbucks and somebody's being, like, a dud behind the counter, that person needs to go find something else to do, because that's not the job for them. So stop ruining everyone else's day because you're not.
Or at least suck it up while you're there and just act like you like it.
Yeah, just pretend a little bit, I guess. Yeah, just because you're doing not only yourself a disservice in that situation, but you're doing a disservice to all of the potential customers that, in that scenario, Starbucks could have. Like, you're going to make an impact on those people. So do you want to make a shitty impact?
This is why
a good impact.
Again, I know we have a different way of thinking because we've set down the road to make our own business and make a living that way. But this is why I just don't understand people who sincerely, like on a regular basis, complain about how much they hate their job.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while, okay, of course, that's understandable. That's going to happen. But if you've been at your job for like 20, 30 years and you honestly wholeheartedly hate it, like on a daily basis, like you gotta get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, that's a you problem, bro. You
Yeah.
gotta change that. You can change that anytime you want to. It's gonna
Yeah.
be scary and it's gonna be risky, but you gotta do it sometimes.
Read the 4-Hour Work Week.
Oh yeah, that's a bomb book.
It will motivate you to.
I didn't read it. I
quit.
listened to it.
Same thing.
Yeah. Audiobooks are the shit. Well, I have a send-off thought about that.
Yeah.
There's the self-love thing that's going on right now.
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
I'm hugging myself right now.
Yeah, show yourself some love. Where I think it's gone too far. And
I know where this is going.
and I mean, the people that are going to be offended by this are going to be offended by it, but they're probably offended by everything, so it's fine. Self-love is not allowing yourself to do the easy thing all the time.
Yes.
Okay, it is not letting yourself be comfortable in every situation.
Thank God.
Okay, like it's not. Oh, I'm Sundays. I'm just gonna do nothing today because it's like I'm practicing self-love. No, you're being lazy, and admit that to yourself. It's okay to be lazy if you want to be. Number one, if you want to spend Sunday sitting on your couch watching Netflix, do it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Don't call it self-love. That is really annoying to me. You're being lazy. Or you're taking a rest day.
Yeah.
That is the reality of what you're doing. Practicing self-love is when you're in a situation that isn't resonating with you and is making you be shitty. You remove yourself from that situation or change your environment. That is self-love. It's not being like, oh, I'm okay here, and then posting on Instagram a picture of your butt and then saying self-love, right? Like that's not what it is. Let's stop doing that. I think like it's Christmas time, so let's help the homeless people. Let's donate to this charity. Let's wish for world peace, whatever. We got to start there first. We got to start with ourselves and making sure that we are happy, because then you can actually help other people, right? You're going to be free in a sense. You get that sense of freedom, and that is when you are actually practicing self-love. It's not when you're pretending or you're being lazy.
I seen an unbelievable meme the other day that basically sums up what you're saying. It had like 4 separate pictures going down in a row, like in a sequence of time. So like the couple at the top were, I can only remember a couple, but they were examples of like legit, like real world challenges. One was like, it had the year, and then it was like, okay, I'm going off to war. The other one was like, well, like middle of the Depression, like I can't make much money, but still, have to go to work, feed the family. I forget what the other ones were, but they were like these legit, like fucking hardships. And then the bottom one was like current day, and it was like, you're offending me.
Oh my God. That's so awesome.
That's so accurate and unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh God, that's good. What a way to send it off. Let's just end it there.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. Practice real self-love, kids.
Yep.
You're going to get this the week of Christmas. So Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Enjoy your time with your family, talking about whatever, eating your foods.
Yep. Whatever makes you happy.
Catching up with people.
Enjoy it.
We'll see you at the gym at literally any time over the holidays if you'd like to join us.
Yep.
We're just closed Christmas Day. And that's it.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Don't come on Christmas Day. Spend that time with your family. Yeah. Be lazy.
And we're done.
Peace.